Hello and welcome to the College Football Show. I'm Nick Roby, once again with Barrett Black. How's it going?
Hey, doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Dressed up this week.
Yeah, I feel like it was good. A little Halloween action this week. You know, you gotta go with the flow a little bit.
Definitely.
So I'm going a little Harry Potter. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so I thought I would go with that. Represent Hufflepuff. That's my house, and so you got to do the glasses too.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love some Harry Potter as well. I'm actually a pumpkin farmer because my little 6-month-old daughter has a pumpkin outfit, and so I'm dressing up as a pumpkin farmer, and I carry her around like my prized pumpkin.
That cuteness factor's on a whole nother level. I mean, you can't compete with that.
She is, man. She's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
a real girl. So fun. Yeah, so we thought we'd just dress up a little this week. So excited and hope you enjoy Halloween festivities this week, whether at home with family or just enjoying just an excuse just to dress up as your favorite person.
Yeah.
Big week this week. I mean, a lot went down, some that we were kind of expecting, and some of it we were not at all expecting what was going to happen. You kind of had a feeling that some of these kind of things would happen, but you just didn't know when or how. And we got one of those in Oklahoma and Kansas State. What were your thoughts on that?
Man, I was actually watching a different game at the time. I think I was watching Ohio State and Wisconsin, and one of my buddies just had. I mean, obviously, as Alabama fans, we've followed Jalen Hurts pretty closely this year because we all love Jalen Hurts. One of my friends texted me, and he is like, "I cannot believe Oklahoma is getting shellacked right now." I mean, at the time they hadn't started their comeback. They were down by 25 at one time in the third quarter, and so I was like, "Wow, what is going on here?" So I flipped it over to that game. Obviously, the Ohio State game by that time was way out of hand.
Yeah,
flipped it over to the OU game. It was exciting. I mean, even though they were down by 25 at one point, they started mounting that comeback, and they were so close, man. The thing is, their defense let them down big time this week.
Yeah,
they could not stop that quarterback running the ball on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that's what they were doing. Is Kansas State they were, that quarterback was just. I was really impressed with him. I forget his name, but I was really impressed with him because he was making the right decisions every time. It was one of those, like, the guys were covered, he would run up the middle. It was like, just get the first down, and it just felt like both teams, it was about which defense could get a stop, and neither of them could really get at the end.
For sure. Kansas State had 213 rushing yards, and just watching college football over the years, if you give up over 200 rushing yards, I mean, normally it's not a good situation for you.
No, I mean, the exception might be if you're playing like a Georgia Tech.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that kind of
team, maybe something different,
but a normal spread offensive team, like that's not a good defensive showing.
Not at all. But that comeback, these are two of the worst tackling teams. I mean, it was pitiful. There was one time where CeeDee Lamb caught a pass over the middle, and I mean, he literally broke like 5 tackles effortlessly. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is a great player, but it was so horrible. Granted, I'm not a college football player. I'm not saying I could make those tackles, but I mean, these are, high-end Division I college football players, and the tackling looks terrible.
Yeah,
it's pretty shocking.
Yeah, there's a reason, I think, why people kind of say that there's not really defense in the Big 12. They just play two-hand touch because of some of that tackling. It's a little suspect, but still, I mean, Kansas State, to pull off that huge upset and to knock Oklahoma off and knock the comeback, too, because Oklahoma's, they're steamrolling back. And the crazy part is, with the end of the game, they scored and then tried the onside kick, and they think they'd get it. And then
I thought they had it. I mean, I didn't see the replay at that time, but just at face value, you couldn't tell that it went off the Oklahoma player.
Right.
I was like, this is extremely exciting. Oklahoma is about to mount like a UCLA type comeback.
And then that poor freshman wide receiver it gets him on the 9.5-yard line.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. So Oklahoma goes down. They fall to 10. So not out of it yet, but losing to a Kansas State really hurts.
Yeah, Oklahoma is all but done. They're not you can't say at this moment with huge games looming left in the season that they are for sure done, but they have put themselves squarely behind the Pac-12. If Oregon or Utah, if either one of those wins the Pac-12, OU is done. You know, even if they win out and win the Big 12, it for sure behind Oregon, because Oregon's loss is to a great Auburn team at the time. So, OU would be done in that sense.
OU needs the Pac-12 to beat up on itself.
Correct.
Would hope for a Clemson loss.
Which is not going to happen.
Probably not going to happen. But just something like that, basically. And then, like,
I mean, you never know in college football, but that's kind of what they're saying.
It's more of like a default. They win out, and it's like by default. Like, hey, they lost. They just lost on the road.
Yep. So it kind of sucks for them because they're still a great team, especially offensively.
Yeah.
What did you think about the Michigan Notre Dame game?
Yeah, I was honestly, I mean, I picked Michigan, and like we do like a college spread picks, and I was like, you know what, Michigan at home, I thought their defense was going to play strong, and I just went with it, and I was not expecting that kind of a shellacking. For me, honestly, I think it's more of a testament about Notre Dame's lack of proficiency in offense versus like how good Michigan is. I think Michigan's a good team, but they're not 45 to 14.
For sure. No, they just controlled the ball.
They controlled the ball, and they played to their strengths finally. Yeah. And then Notre Dame was just stubborn and kept trying to throw the ball and like crazy wins, which was just not a good situation.
The weather was atrocious.
The whole weekend was
glad.
It was really
so glad that our game did not have that kind of weather, because that's a miserable
A lot of
game.
them did, yeah.
I would say Notre Dame's done. They no chance for college football playoff for Notre Dame this year.
No, Notre Dame's out.
There won't be any 31-0 or 30-0, whatever it was last year with Clemson.
Yeah.
Anything else surprising you?
Anything else big, surprising? I think just surprising to see Wisconsin lay an egg again, and maybe it's just because and Ohio State's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away. I would think Ohio State is the better team
for sure.
But to be that much more dominant, and I think it just goes to show too is that when you have a dynamic running back, but you don't really have any kind of offensive game, the team they can just load up on the box, and when you're just as good athletically, if not better, there's nothing, you can just load 8 guys in the box and say, beat us through the air. And it's
And Jonathan Taylor, 52 yards, maybe 53, something like that. Not looking good for his Heisman bid. Staying in the Big Ten, Minnesota dominating Maryland, which Maryland has been taken to the woodshed several times this year, but this isn't Wisconsin and Ohio State taking them to the woodshed. This is Minnesota taking them to the woodshed. 52-20. PJ Fleck is, I mean, to me, he must be a wonderful coach. To get Minnesota to 8-0. This is the first time since the 30s that Minnesota has been 8-0.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm happy for them, because a school like that doesn't get as much notice, and they love football too. And
for sure,
it's just cool to see that they're. It's looking at that, not this weekend, but the next weekend's going to be. It's the first time. Why don't you say the first time in AP poll history where you have 2 8-0 matchups?
Yeah.
Because you got LSU and Alabama is obviously the big one.
Yeah.
Penn State, Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think it's at Penn State.
Yeah. No, it's at Minnesota. Because Minnesota is really wanting game day.
That's right. They want game day there.
Because game day has never been to Minnesota. And so they're really like saying, hey, don't go to the Alabama LSU game. Come to this game. Which I don't know how game day really picks their game, but they're often at LSU and Alabama. I say go to Minnesota. Go to a place you haven't seen so that the nation can watch and see that atmosphere there. We see Alabama LSU all the time.
They're on at least once a year.
Yeah. So let's see Minnesota.
I mean, that's coming from you.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be really fun. They're going to pick LSU, Alabama. I mean, it's just because it's too hard to pass up. It's 1 versus 2. Because you can talk about all these like 1 versus 2 matchups, but that's pretty cool. And it's from 2 teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect as much. So what if you have an undefeated Minnesota team playing Ohio State in the Big Ten championship?
I mean,
I still think Ohio State wins, but
I tell you, people would be trying to poach PJ Fleck for sure.
But
Right?
PJ Fleck would be getting a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Because he took that Western Michigan team to the New Year's Six Bowl. And then a couple years later, he's taking Minnesota. So, I mean, it's a big name. I mean, I think he'll want to stay around, but we'll see.
What about letdowns for you? I mean, obviously, you mentioned Wisconsin a little bit.
Yeah, and we talked about some of these other ones I had on my list. And another one I had was just Texas, of just, you can't declare that you're back against Georgia and then lose to TCU. I mean,
exactly.
it's just, you can't do it.
Sam Ehlinger, early season Heisman candidate, 4 interceptions. That's a rough day.
I think they're on the rise, and then they're coming back. For me, a team like a Texas is not back until they make the playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, at least some kind of showing like that. And it's like until you do that.
Even if you didn't make the playoff, but you won the Big 12.
Win the Big 12, beat Oklahoma and all these other things. I feel like otherwise it's like teams like that in Notre Dame. It's like, are you really back?
Yeah.
That was probably a big one. And then Arizona State just kind of laying an egg a little bit this week against UCLA.
Yeah.
And UCLA is not very good.
No.
UCLA either looks terrible or they pull off these crazy wins with Chip Kelly. So
yep.
That's pretty much it, what I had.
Yeah, I said for me it was the fact that every Big 12 team that was ranked lost. Mm-hmm. So there are 3 Big 12 teams that are ranked, Texas, OU, and Iowa State, all lost. That's just a bad weekend for the Big 12.
Oh, also, I did have one, the Coastal Division.
Yeah.
In general.
ACC Coastal. Goodness.
Nobody wants to win.
No.
I don't even know.
Miami got to win.
I don't even know what Miami is.
Yeah.
They have no idea who they are.
No.
They have no idea. It's ridiculous. Virginia, like I think you were saying before, Virginia had lost like twice in a row, and now
they're leading.
They're still leading the Coastal. Yep. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, Pittsburgh, they'll do well, and they lose at home to Miami.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's gonna be UNC. That's what's gonna happen.
I guess so. UNC got lucky at the end of their game. They should not have beat Duke. Duke had first and goal in the 2, and David Cutcliffe, I have no idea what he was thinking with the play call. A jump pass from the halfback that the halfback threw directly into UNC defenders, and it was easily picked off. So, goodness, Duke.
But the big game right now is Clemson. Clemson needs another ranked game.
They need Wake Forest to keep
winning.
Yeah.
And then have either them or Virginia be like a ranked team at least. Because otherwise it's
how would it be shocking if the Coastal winner that Clemson plays in their ACC championship was not a ranked team?
No, I mean last year it was Pittsburgh who was 6-6.
Oh wow.
They won. They won the Coastal being 6-6.
Shame on you, Coastal.
They finished 7-7.
We need a conference realignment in the ACC.
Well, here's the thing: if it is Virginia, that means that a different team has won the Coastal for the past 7 years. They've all won it in the past 7 years.
Virginia.
So Virginia, it's their time.
Well, let's repeat it. I mean, let's do it, Virginia. Let's do something new.
But. I mean, usually you get some kind of ranked opponent if they make the division, but not in the Coastal.
Not in the Coastal.
Not in the Coastal. That's big stuff from the weekend. What were your thoughts on the rankings? I mean, the big one is LSU.
So LSU comes out number 1. To be honest, as an Alabama fan, I'm fine with LSU being ranked number 1. I think LSU has the best resume. They've played 3 top 10 teams, and they've played well against 3 top 10 teams. It wasn't like they got lucky to win any of those games. They did what it took to win. And even though this game this past weekend was exciting and Auburn still, even in the second half, at the beginning of the second half, it looked like it could get away from Auburn pretty quick. Or maybe at the end of the first half when Bo Nix throws a deep interception where Auburn maybe could have come away with some points there. But LSU is doing what it takes to win, and they beat 3 top 10 opponents. And I think they should be ranked number 1. To me, the rankings right now will work themselves out. Alabama plays LSU in 2 weeks. If Alabama does what they need to do, then they will be ranked number 1 again. Same with other games on here. Other teams on here. Clemson's ranked number 4. I know Clemson fans are livid about it. There's plenty of argument for Clemson to be ranked ahead of OSU or Alabama. They all 3 have similar resumes. They've all 3 played one ranked team and handled them very easily. their resumes are all kind of right there. But if Clemson does what they are going to do and wins out, they're going to be in the playoff. It's no problem. Alabama or LSU, whichever one of those loses, will be ranked behind Clemson. That it's going to work itself out. Clemson will be number 3. So I'm not as worried about those games. There's nothing in the rankings where I'm like, wow, this is a surprise. I really feel good about everything, and I know that this stuff just going to work itself out. Number 6, Florida plays number 8, UGA this week. Oregon, number 7, will eventually play number 9, Utah again.
Ohio State, Penn State will play.
Ohio State, Penn State will play.
In the same division, yeah.
Minnesota will play Penn State this here in a few weeks. Minnesota will play Wisconsin. Baylor will play Oklahoma. I mean, these things are going to work themselves out. And the only rankings that matter come out next Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are the big ones. I think as a Clemson fan, like realize what you hang your hat on is what the playoff committee starts saying, because the AP poll, it's nice, but that's really the poll that matters now. And what's the only thing that's concerning is with all this like national media attention, with kind of bumping down Clemson, even though they haven't done anything. I mean, they won 59-7.
Had their best week
against Boston College. They took care of business, but like people don't think about that.
Well, I mean, the media, it just goes to show you how the media can shape storylines that they want to. Alabama, LSU, 1 versus 2. That's a storyline that the media wants to shape. Chase Young for Heisman has been the media darling of Monday. Chase Young had 4 sacks in the Wisconsin game. He has 13.5 sacks on the year. 5 forced fumbles. That's pretty outstanding for a defensive player, but he hasn't really been mentioned in the national media at all until this past week's game, where he had the 4 sacks and 2 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
The media, if they want him to be in New York for the Heisman, they will get him there to New York in the Heisman. They sway voters all the time because out of the 700 Heisman voters, there aren't going to be a ton of scholarly people who are really watching games and seeing. I mean, granted, this is coming from a guy who's wanting my player, Tua Tagovailoa, to win the Heisman. That would be great, but the media really shapes who they want to win the Heisman, in my opinion.
No, they do, and because not all these guys can watch up these players, especially West Coast players.
Yeah, for sure.
Defensive players already have a hard enough time.
Yeah, they have a really hard time.
Chase Young's really good. I don't know. I personally shout out Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. I think he's dominant, and people don't really talk about him in that way either. But yeah, it'll be. I think LSU. We've talked about before. LSU, Alabama. Tua's back, and Joe Burrow. How if one of them plays really dominantly, they're going to take the front runner.
They'll be the front runner. Yeah.
The interesting thing with the rankings of this week is we were talking about LSU's number 1, but Alabama has the most first place votes at 21. LSU and Ohio State both have 17, and Clemson's still getting 7. So I feels like it's a pretty
even spread
because most of the time it's like 50 votes for one and then a couple random votes for another. So that's really interesting. So it will kind of take place. I think the thing that I was going to mention earlier that is a little concerning is if Alabama LSU, it's a close game. Say Alabama wins by a field goal. LSU is going to be close. They've already had these big wins. I could see them ranking LSU like 3rd and Clemson still 4th.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
with a loss.
I think because of Clemson's name, that wouldn't happen. I think an undefeated Clemson, knowing that they've won 2 out of the last 3 championships, the committee is not ballsy enough to move them or leave them at 4th and LSU 3rd. Just my opinion, especially and feel like they can justify Ohio State being ahead of LSU. You know.
I mean, that's the hard thing with these is you have to put somebody in some of these spaces. And honestly, I mean, LSU, you could really argue it has the best resume, but between, like you're saying, 2 through 4, even with Penn State, it's all about just how they've kind of looked. Because, there's not really a loss between any of those that really stands them out. Yeah. They've all beaten probably a big ranked team, and they've beaten who they're supposed to beat. I think it will continue to filter itself out, but it will be really interesting to see what the playoff committee says. I've got a little interesting stats I want to see if you can guess and see who these top 5 teams are. See if I can find it. These are team offensive yards who lead the country right now. I want to see if you can guess who's in the top 5 right now.
Okay.
So, who would you say is in the top 5 right now?
Total offensive yards.
Total offensive yards per game.
Per game.
Sorry, per game average.
Total offensive yards.
This is as of this past weekend.
As of this past weekend. I think LSU was 3rd as of this past weekend, so they're in the top 5. LSU's
third.
5. Let me see. Offensive yards. I'd have to say Ohio State is probably top 5.
Not top 5. They're 7.
Not top 5.
They're
Wow.
7. No.
Offensive yards. Is Oklahoma top 5?
Oklahoma's number 1.
Number 1. Okay.
Still number 1.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
It's because their defense
1.
is good as well yards too.
Let me see. Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know who else.
You don't know who else? Okay. I looked it up because I was just interested.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma's 1, almost at 600 yards a game.
Okay. Wow.
UCF 561.
Yes. UCF killed it this past weekend.
Yeah. UCF, and again, if they don't have those couple losses we'll be talking about them more.
Exactly.
LSU at 536. Clemson 525 game. Number 5.
Wake Forest. Wow.
523.
That's crazy.
And then Alabama's 8th.
Yeah.
And then SMU is 10th. Is interesting. But Wake Forest.
Wow.
I mean, Wake Forest's defense can't stop anybody either. Yeah. But I think to show that's be a really interesting matchup in a couple weeks for Clemson. But I looked at that, I was like, well, Wake Forest, Demon Deeks, but Oklahoma's still leading the country in offense.
Yeah.
So there you go.
They have an excellent offense. Anything? So you went to the Clemson game this past weekend. You got to celebrate some homecoming festivities. Anything stick out from the game?
I think it was just honestly the most complete game I've seen Clemson play.
Yeah.
Just start to finish, it felt like the team should look. Now, I mean, Texas A&M, we played well, but the offense, it still was like, there are a couple plays where I could say, feels like we missed some throws. I mean, Lawrence looked dynamic. I mean, and maybe I could point out one throw where I was a little bit iffy on the decision.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, he looked electric. ETN looked amazing.
It was crazy hearing the stats. I think ETN had only 12 carries, but had like 109 yards. So
that's a very
ETN busting game. Off huge plays. Trevor Lawrence was 16 for 19 with like a high 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. So
here's the crazy stat though, is that we had our senior receiver who doesn't get any attention, DeAndre Overton, had 3 receptions, 119 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
Like,
that's a
just balling out.
That's
so I was happy for him.
For sure.
The team looked good, and we played the way, it was a big spread, but played the way against a tough playing Boston College team.
For sure.
So I was impressed.
Yeah. So got to watch the Alabama game. I'm not going to lie. My nerves were going before the Alabama game started.
Right, because you don't know what you're going to get.
You have Mac Jones. He's never had a start before. And you're just like, oh man, what's he going to like? He looked terrible when he came in against Tennessee a week ago, but I know that was kind of a tough spot to be in. But he came in and the game plan was drawn up extremely well for him. 18 of 22, high 200 yards. I think he had 3 touchdown passes. He did extremely well. Our defense, 4 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. So that was all promising. I mean, it was 41-0 at halftime. The second half, it was like we were trying to figure some stuff out. We played Talia Tagovailoa, to his little brother, for most of the second half. And, I mean, the coaches know what they're talking about. There's a reason Talia was not ready to go over Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a lot more shaped than Talia Tagovailoa is.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Mac did a great job. He's a great backup. Granted, we want Tua, obviously, to play against LSU, and it sounds like things are going really well for him. But, man, the injury bug is just trying to get after us still. We had one of our best receivers go down with a shoulder contusion. He was done. Like, they pulled him out after he went down hard on the shoulder, put him in a sling and stuff. I've been, like, looking for updates all day on him. Devontae Smith, trying to figure out where does he stand. Najee Harris twists his ankle early in the game. They pulled him out, set him on the bench. They said he was fine and could have easily come back in. But you're just like, man, after last week with Tua's leg, please nobody else get hurt. Like, we need everything we have to go against LSU. At one point, one of our freshman linebackers, like middle linebacker, is where Alabama is super hurt, and we had 2 middle linebackers go down before the season starts, including our number 1 defensive player. So we have 2 freshmen starting, and one of them at one point in the game like starts holding his shoulder weird after a hit, and I'm just like, no, injuries. Yeah. So I'm glad that we're having a bye week this week. Thank you.
That's key.
We so need the bye week, and then we have LSU, so it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be nerve-wracking.
That's nerve-wracking. Honestly, that's like the game of the year right now. Because it just has so much plan implications. There's so many things with it, obviously. But
for us, I mean, it feels like the championship. Like, it's our championship of the season. Because if you don't get this, if you don't win this game, it's almost like you're done, you know? So it feels like a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big one. And then the East big one is this weekend.
Yep.
With Georgia, Florida. With the cocktail party, I think it was called.
Yeah. Not too many huge games this weekend. I think it's going to be one of the more boring weekends. But if you want to stay up late, I haven't looked at the times of these games actually. But 2 Pac-12 games: Utah at Washington, playoff implications. Oregon at USC, playoff implications. So in theory, Utah and Oregon should both win those games, but they're road games against somewhat formidable opponents. I mean, Washington isn't quite what we expected them to be this year. But, could be some good games to watch.
Yeah, those are good. Those are probably big ones. I had Notre Dame, Virginia Tech. It's just something to look at just because to see if Notre Dame bounces back. But and just that feels like it could be like a weird upset. Yeah. Like it might be like Notre Dame might be in trouble. And another big one is where game day is. We got SMU and Memphis.
Yeah.
SMU's undefeated. Memphis gets into the top 25. It'll be fun to see. Pony Express. That one is going to be really interesting. So,
surprised to see that Memphis is getting 6 points in that game.
Yeah, it's got to be the home team. I'm a little surprised too, just because of how dominant SMU has been. But they played a close game last week, so I'm gonna have to go with Florida in the Florida Georgia game. I feel like
I'm gonna pick Georgia. I think Georgia, they play with fire a lot, and I think after that USC game, where they lost on the overtime field goal, I think maybe they're gonna think, hey, we can't lose again this season. I think Georgia plays with a little fire and can pull it out.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like Florida's defense. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah,
it's gonna be very. The 6 is that's too much. Georgia has 6 points. It's gonna be closer than that. It'll be like a field goal.
We'll see, man. I'd like to see another overtime game.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So there you go. Fun week. A lot of stuff coming up. We got the big playoff committee coming up. So, well, as always, thanks, Barrett. For joining in. A little Halloween special. So thanks, guys, for listening. We will see you next time.
Yeah, make sure to brush your teeth after all that candy.
There you go. Thanks, Dad. Have a good one. Bye.